I was really enjoying picturing Kelly as a kid reading this book, because the number of times we've read books for this podcast where Kelly's been like, I thought this was a mystery and I wanted to figure it out. And she gets like so into it. Yeah. And so reading this book, I was like, oh, I get it. I get where she like fostered that. And it was really adorable.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to BYOB, the Bring Your Own Book podcast. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Kelly.
And this week we are talking about Chasing Vermeer by Blue Balliett. This is the first book in our childhood favorite series. And along with our childhood favorites, we also have our favorite co-host joining us again. We have Tilly with us for this and our next 3 episodes. We have a summer full of Tilly for you guys. And yeah, I'm just so excited to talk about these books, and we're so happy that Tilly can be here. Yay. And before we jump in, Kelly's going to read the synopsis for you all.
All right. When a book of unexplainable occurrences brings Petra and Calder together, strange things start to happen. Seemingly unrelated events connect. An eccentric old woman seeks their company, and an invaluable Vermeer painting disappears. Before they know it, the two find themselves at the center of an international art scandal where no one, neighbors, parents, teachers, is spared from suspicion. As Petra and Calder are drawn clue by clue into a mysterious labyrinth, they must draw on their powers of intuition, their problem-solving skills, and their knowledge of Vermeer. Can they decipher a crime that has left even the FBI baffled? Blue Balliett's bewitching first novel is a puzzle, wrapped in a mystery, disguised as an adventure, and delivered as a work of art.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Me too. Hence Tilly, why I chose it.
Yes, this is Killy. Killy.
Philly. I know her.
Philly and Killy, and you know,
yeah,
we're back in the Lord of the Rings. Oh my God, this
Killy
is
and Tiki and Ellie.
This is Kelly's choice for the childhood favorites. Wow, the tongue tie that's happening to me. And since Kelly has read it before and she loved it, I'm going to start with Tilly, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about this book.
Sure. I've already read it before too. Is that okay?
Oh, nice.
Did you want? Does that make sense then for me to go, or like how does?
No,
that
you go. You're the guest.
Communicated. No.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. So I actually was able to track down my childhood copy of this book, which was great because I hadn't read it in a long time, probably since the first time I read it as a kid. And I believe I bought it at a Scholastic book fair. At least it's got the big Scholastic thing on it. And It has a sticker on the front that says $2.99 special value, $3.99 in Canada.
Oh
and like, holy moly, can you not get books for that price anymore?
Not new.
Yeah. It was delightful to reread. I remember really liking it as a kid because I'm really into puzzles and like logical like clues and patterns. I was extremely into that as a kid. I didn't remember very much of the story. I remembered that it was about art and art history, and I have like a slight personal connection, which is that Vermeer's Girl with a Pearl Earring painting, my grandmother insists that girl looks like me, which I do not like believe or see, but every time Vermeer is brought up, my grandmother's like, oh, it's Tilly with the pearl earring. Like, she has a whole thing about it. Anyway, so it was kind of fun to revisit. Yeah, I had a great time. I think it was like less exciting as an adult, obviously, because it's written for children, but it's still got a lot of like kind of thriller elements and the mystery and all the little puzzles that are kind of like sprinkled within. I did get out my pen and paper to decode some of the things. I really enjoyed looking at the illustrations, and I just had a fun time rereading it. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Yay! Nice. I love that.
Nikki, what were your thoughts?
So I had not read this book before. I had never heard of it. I was really into mystery stuff when I was a kid too. I think I would have loved this when I was younger. I ended up giving it a 3.5 And I think that's purely just for the fact that I'm a 27-year-old woman reading a book that's meant for 11 or 12-year-olds, you know? But yeah, I really liked the overall like plot of the book. There were certain things that at the beginning I was like, oh, that's really cool that they're incorporating like what 11-year-olds would think is a mystery. But then by the end of the book, I was like, are those things actually part of the mystery? And I was kind of confused about what the author's intention was with their book by Charles Fort and the like all the coincidences and the blue and stuff. Because I was at the beginning, I was like, oh, that's like when you're little and you're playing and you're like trying to find things that can make like a clue. But then by the end of it, I was like, were they actually supposed to be real clues? And I was like, I don't know. So I wasn't totally sold on that idea, but I did really like the characters and their friendship. And I loved the like connection that they had to the adults that got the letters.
Yeah.
The first chapter where you see the 3 adults get the letters, I was like, oh, this is so cool. And then they didn't really talk about it until like 50% of the way through the book. And I was like, could we please get back to the important part that I'm waiting for? But it was fun. It was such a good time. And I liked that there was like clues in it. And I mean, we were talking before, I didn't know that the pictures had clues because I couldn't see the pictures very well on my Kindle. But I liked the drawings. That was very nice.
Yay!
Kelly,
Well,
how'd you feel?
I gave this a 5 purely based on nostalgia.
Oh, yeah.
But if I was reading it for the first time, I would probably be like a 4, I think. Because, yeah, I agree with both of you. I think there are moments in here where you're like, that was quite the conclusion to have drawn, you know?
Yep.
But I love the atmosphere. I love the setting of being on this Chicago campus. I also loved reading all the like little fun factoids littered throughout the book, like about the buildings or about John Dewey and that's his school and all this stuff. Like, I just love that. I love little fun snippets of info that you're like, that's not really worth anything, but it's kind of cool because it like paints a better picture of where they are.
Right.
So I really liked that. I loved that as a kid. As a kid, I was obsessed with Petra and Calder. I wanted to be their best friend. I love this kind of adventure where it's like, what's going on? We got to figure it out. And I loved that there wasn't like a adults versus kids kind of theme in this book where it sometimes is like the adults are scary and like they're the bad guys. They don't understand, you know? Like, there were some things where it's like, you know, we're not going to tell our parents because X, Y, Z, or like, oh God, what's her name? Mrs.
Sharp.
Thank you. Mrs. Sharp kind of scared them sometimes, but they also really loved her. So I just found it really cozy. And I haven't read this since I was a kid. I've read it a few times, but like, I don't know what the last time was, but I can show you guys. This was my original copy, and I don't know if you can see my maiden name, my little kid writing my name in there. But yeah, the illustrator, Brett Hellquist, wow, did the pictures for A Series of Unfortunate Events. So,
that's why the style's so familiar.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just think it's so cute, and I didn't pick up on this when I was a kid, which, I mean, explains a lot about me, but I didn't pick up any of the cute little, like, crush moments in this book of, like, Calder not knowing how to talk to Petra, or, like, oh, I love her hair, or, like, what is she going to think about this idea I have, whatever. I didn't pick up on that as a kid because I was just like, they're best friends. They're solving a mystery. He loves pentominoes. I wanted pentominoes after I read this as a kid. I don't like math. Are you kidding me? But I was like, these blocks are so cool. I want to make rectangles, whatever. Who was I? I don't know. But I loved this book. I love it still. The sequel is also really good. There's 2 more
Oh, I didn't
books.
know there was. Oh.
Yeah, there's 4 books total, and there's quite a gap between the books, like from when they were published, but I think they're all like around the same age in the books.
Right.
But the second book, The Wright 3, it's like Frank Lloyd Wright, and they actually, they go to his house because there's a house in Chicago, like a famous one, and there's a mystery with the house, and so all the pictures are like really cool geometrical illustrations of the house, and super fun. So I've only read the first 2, but if you want a fun, quick read that's like a similar kind of puzzle solving thing, I really like that one. I can't speak on the other 2. I'm kind of scared to read the other 2, but yeah.
Nice.
That's so fun. I didn't realize there were a series. That kind of makes sense because I feel like the ending of this one was like so neat and so like it wrapped up so quickly that I kind of found myself like wishing for a little bit more.
Yeah.
I've also heard this called like the Da Vinci Code for kids, which I think is really cute.
Yeah.
Kind of the whole like art mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah, adorable.
I also really love the whole like idea or like motif, I guess, if you will, throughout the book of like what is coincidence, like what you were saying, Nikki, like what is coincidence, what is a sign being sent to me versus I just saw something and then my mind went or whatever. Like I know that I picked up on that as a kid, but I forgot about it, and so rereading it again, I just thought it was so much fun and so interesting of like, yeah, like what is that dream? What is this? What's that? Did they just figure it out? I don't know. And I would love to know, like, do they explain their findings to the police after? How do you explain that?
Right.
I see dark wood. She must be in this building, you know?
Yeah.
I picked
the
up the
dreams.
P pentomino and it told me that it meant this word. And these men are like, get out of here, kid.
Right? Right.
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting stuff about like perception and kind of like a kid having different perceptions than adults do.
Yeah.
There was this one phrase about they were talking about measuring something. I think it was an assignment that their teacher had given them. And I forget whether it was Calder or Petra, I think it might have been Calder, who was saying that it's as heavy as a bag of chocolate chip cookies. And I was like, I love that kind of creative description of, I think as adults, you kind of lose your sense of playfulness and of like your imagination. And so I was really enjoying reading this book. I thought it was really true to like a kid's imagination. And it kind of made me like rediscover my wonder a little bit. So that was really sweet.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
That's so cute. I'm so happy. I didn't do anything, but I'm just like,
You made me read it again.
that's
That's
true.
something.
That
Yeah.
I did.
You held me at gunpoint and made me read it. Just kidding.
I pulled out the G pentomino. There's no G. The gun. Tilly, read this.
The most threatening of pentominoes.
So there are also bonus features in this book, listeners. There's a code. There's a code that Calder and his friend Tommy, I don't know why I'm holding the book up. Like, no one can see this, just you two.
That's okay. You can show it to us.
Product placement.
There's a code in the book between Calder and his friend Tommy, and they write letters to each other in this code, which I think is so cute and such a kid thing to do of like, we have a secret language that no one else can understand. I did have to flip back and forth a lot to figure out what they're going to be talking about, because at first I was like, do I need to know? And then I was like, yes, I need to know. I can't just
Yeah, they don't
skip
explain
that.
it.
Not
Yeah.
really. Yeah. And then there's also like a secret puzzle with not every photo, but some of the
Every
illustrations.
other photo. It was like the even ones and not the odd ones, I think. Or maybe the other way around.
I think there was. Now we're going to have a debate. I don't know. I feel like it was every third or something.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. But there's not every illustration, but some of them have pentomino shapes in there, and then you have to like find them and then figure out what they spell, and then that gives you some kind of answer relating to the mystery, I guess.
There were also frogs in every other picture.
Yes. Lo,
Right.
a
The
frog.
frogs.
Because of that kid whose name was Frog, which, what's up with that?
There was like frogs falling from the sky. And then
in the
there was
book.
the kid frog.
The kid named Frog. I'm like, who names their kid Frog? Unless it was a nickname. But even then.
But that wasn't a kid that lived with them. That was a kid that lived by Tommy
Yeah.
Yes.
In New York.
New York.
Well, you know those New Yorkers. They name their kids weird stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, the puzzles were really fun. I did not spend as much time on the image puzzles as I probably could have.
Same.
And definitely I would have spent more time on them when I was a kid. You know,
Same.
trying to unlock it all. I was just like, I don't have time for this. I got to read the story. Like, I want to know how it ends.
I was like, I have to read 3 books in a week, people. Like, let's go.
At least they're all pretty short
Yes.
or quick. I don't know.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, they were all fast paced, which was nice.
Yeah. Reading this made me want to read more mysteries again because I love mysteries. I just feel like I go in waves of moods, right? So now I'm getting back on the mystery train. And yeah, I had a lot of fun.
I was really enjoying picturing Kelly as a kid reading this book because the number of times we've read books for this podcast where Kelly's been like, I thought this was a mystery and I wanted to figure it out. And she gets like so into it.
Yeah.
And so reading this book, I was like, oh, I get it. I get where she like fostered that. And it was really adorable.
Did you, doing this little mini series experiment in a way, did either of you think like, wow, I'm getting such an insight on myself from my childhood because like,
Yes.
like
Myself and you two.
yes, because so many books, like I'm now starting to reread other books that I liked as a kid and I'm like, wow, I loved this character. Why did I love this character? Why did I want to be just like them? You know, like
Yeah.
all these things. And like Petra was like my Hermione 2.0. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because she's like, yeah, she's got the bushy hair. She's got the smarts. She's got the respect your teachers, like all this stuff.
But she's kind of a weirdo too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like kind of a little bit isolated from everyone else.
Yeah. Oh, I loved it.
No, I agree. I feel like reading someone else's like favorite childhood whatever or like watching their favorite movie always gives you so much insight into them as a person. And I this is a really fun little experiment.
I know. This ended up really good. And I feel like, I don't know, like I feel like we should do it again with obviously with different books, but like I don't know, like it's
From like a different stage of our lives. Like what was your favorite like teenage book or something? Yeah. That would be fun.
Oh, that
Yeah.
would be difficult but fun. I've got
it
one.
would be
so many.
Twilight.
Oh, girl, I get it. We all went through that. Oh my
God.
I'd happily read Twilight again.
We're gonna be this year. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh God, I'll just keep it in my memory if we do this for the childhood again. Oh my God.
I'm trying to think of what mine would be. I don't know.
I know, I'm
probably-
looking back at my bookshelf and I'm like, what ones did I read when I was a teenager?
I read so much Meg Cabot as a teen.
I was going to say probably a Meg Cabot book for me. Like All American Girl. Ooh,
Yes.
Was she the one who wrote The Princess Diaries?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I freaking loved All American Girl.
I reread it last year. It was amazing.
Oh,
I would probably choose Louise Renaissance. I don't know.
I don't know.
Confessions of a... Oh, no, that's not it. Oh, shoot. What's it called? The Angus Thongs and Full Frontal Snogging?
Oh, I never read that.
Georgia Nicholson.
It was too scandalous. The cover freaked me out. Or like the title. I was like, oh, I'm too young for this.
It is
I didn't know they were books. I watched the movie and I was like, oh my God, I'm in love with this movie.
the movie.
There's a lot of books, I think.
Yes, the movie's a little different, but so cute. So I don't mind. But like the books are hilarious. They're a hoot and a half. So maybe they'll pick that. We're already planning.
Yeah, I know. That's like, we're so far ahead of the game. I loved this book called Megan Mead's Guide to the McGowan Boys when I was a kid. It was like, you know, just this girl who moves in with like 7 brothers because her parents are like going in the army or something. And then she like thinks she has a crush on one of them, but then one of the other ones has like a crush on her. Oh, it's like the closed door romance of teenagerhood. And there's no sex, but it was like, thinking
there
back
could have
to it,
been.
I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah.
when it started for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a why choose romance in the making, okay?
Yeah.
But like with
It was
adults.
great. It's on my shelf. I've been thinking about rereading it. I'm like,
Do it.
Do it.
yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Anyway.
I'm I'm so glad we read this. I had a great time.
Me too. Is there like a favorite part that either of you guys had, like reading it back, that you like, that kind of like triggered your memory or anything?
Good question.
You know, I don't think there was. I think I just enjoyed the whole of it because it really put me back to when I was a kid, and I just felt so cozy, like I was bundled up in a blanket with a hot chocolate. This book has so many things that I love as an adult still in like adult books, or even just like vibes that I really vibe with, if you will. So I don't know if I could pick a particular moment, and maybe that's a cop-out, but I was smiling the whole time. I had a great time. So
Oh, good.
yeah.
I really remembered the image kind of near the end when they've got the painting and they're like running away, and then someone like opens the car door and someone gets hurt, and then they get separated and they don't know where the painting is. It was very Goldfinch vibes.
Yeah.
I felt like, with the art heist, like not a heist, but kind of a art heist.
Yeah.
It also, I recently watched Knives Out, The Glass Onion.
Yes.
And the beginning of this book was like, oh, this feels very much like that. So that was fun for me, because I feel like, those stories are always exciting. Like they kind of kindle you're like, ooh, what's gonna happen? And like, ooh, there's something fun in store, puzzles, and it just like stretches your mind a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. My favorite part of this book was when they went down into the basement of the school. Ooh. And Calder had to stay down there by himself all morning. Yeah. And he's like hiding like in the thing, and he's like, I didn't move for what felt like hours. And I was like, it was probably 2 minutes. That's what I would be like. I'd be like, it's been days. And someone comes down and they're like, it's been 45 minutes. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. The light.
You know what? I do have a favorite moment, okay?
All right,
I was like, wait a sec. It's a series of moments, but I love every time they would call each other and be like, I have a clue, or I have something to tell you. Get out the notebook. And they'd go to each other's houses and like have hot chocolate and do the thing. Because I had one friend growing up who lived around the corner from me in my little subdivision. And I just always, as a kid, wanted to be able to be like, I'm going to Sarah's house, and just like zip over and have a little hangout, because you never are allowed to do that, or I was never allowed. But like in books they always are, in movies they always are. There's always like a fun, like there's more independence in books and movies than when you're an actual kid, I find. And I just loved that like they would call each other and be like, I'm coming right over. Get the hot chocolate. Get out the blue M&Ms. Get your notebook. We've got a clue, I loved it.
So cute.
I wish I could leave everybody with a clue like this book, but alas, I cannot, because you cannot see anything I'm writing, and I'm not writing anything. So I hope everybody had a really great time with this episode, and you want to come back for more, because next time we're talking about my favorite childhood pick, which is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. So join us then. Until next time, keep on drinking in great stories. Cheers!
Next time on the Bring Your Own Book podcast. Look, I didn't want to be a half-blood.